highly recommend all of Douglas Adams' works. He does a little book which he calls the what do you say? It's the runt of the litter of his books, where he and anthropologist and photographer Mark Howardine go around the world looking at species on the brink of extinction. The book's called Last Chance to See, so if anyone does have an opportunity to go see it, I do recommend grabbing the book. He sort of goes around. So he describes at one point the mating habits of the kakapo. It's a little New Zealand bird, which people might be aware of. And the way he talks about the kakapo is like when it's under stress, like it's been hunted to near extinction. The kakapo thing to do at that point is to just breed even more slowly, because that's what it knows how to do.
Yeah.
What does it do?
And it's to do anything else is an in-kakapo thing to do.
Yeah.
And by comparison, what we've evolved to do, and what our brains have sort of developed around, is this idea of grabbing our environment and manipulating it to do what we want it to do.
Yeah.
And we're at a point now where this approach does not really benefit us.
No.
We've gotten to this tipping point where what was once a very advantageous behavior
strategy
is now very disadvantageous.
Yes. It's all about adaptation. We've got to learn how to adapt.
I find that view of things like saying that just as the kakapo doesn't know to, say, breed more quickly to save its species because there's only 80 of them left, we humans don't know how to stop using our environment and how to change our approach to effectively just be.
We need a shock. We need something that makes us change.
We just get like a political change and just put like people like more
politics aren't going to fix it though.
I'd love, by the way, to go on about Thomas Midgley for a little bit.
Yes, go on, please.
This is a scientist. He's an American chemical engineer and mechanical engineer. He actually, I think it's the actually would have been during the First World War. He discovered that you can add tetraethyl leads to gasoline.
Okay.
To prevent engines from knocking. If you know what an engine knocking is, it's basically it overheats and the mixture's too hot and it like rattles the pistons in the head of the engine. So he invented leaded gasoline.
Oh yeah, right.
Which is one thing that's like, wow, that's not very good. But he did eventually realize, oh whoops, this is not
bad
a
idea.
good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, let me explain the degree of the problem. I think we've lowered the IQ of everyone born up until like the mid-90s by at least 10 points, just by the amount of lead we've pumped into the atmosphere due to this discovery.
It's like locally we've got people in Port Pirie which had like lead when they were born, like people my age had like lead exposure when they were born, and we know that that's
background lead.
No.
Anymore,
because
there's that much lead in the environment that we've pumped in there.
Well, there you go.
So that was in I'm certain it was like 1915, 1916 that Thomas Midgley discovered tetraethyl leads and adding those to gasoline. Another awesome discovery he had, and this is the other big discovery he was known for, was chlorofluorocarbons.
Oh, yes.
What?
Beautiful
so the same
CFCs.
man who, developed CFCs.
Oh, wonderful.
When he
this guy.
Freon. Yeah.
What's that? Can you explain it to me? Because
it's
you know the hole in the ozone layer?
Yeah, I know
from that.
Yeah.
Which is something that we fixed. I want to point out.
Yeah.
These environmental problems are not problems that are avoidable.
No.
Back in the 90s, the big things were acid rain from emissions from industry and the hole in the ozone layer, both of which you don't hear about anymore because we had governments say, "Fuck this! We've got to actually fix these problems. We have to fix these problems, or we're dealing with like widespread issues." And people sort of rallied around fixing the problems and spending the money to fix these problems. Admittedly, climate change is several orders of magnitude harder to fix in that our entire economy is based around fucking things up in the atmosphere.
I disagree, though. I absolutely disagree because there's such thing as a triple bottom line. And it's just the only problem is like there's some technologies that need to be the cost benefit to the business.
Yeah, we don't have the technology at the moment to transfer
there
to
are heaps
entirely
what about renewable energies by putting dams
I think
and stuff like
the
that?
energy return on investment is a bit of an issue with renewables still. Solar's getting that shitload better, but what we really should have done is in the 80s moved almost entirely to nuclear, but we misused nuclear in the 40s. and people are still worried about
Yeah.
that. So
And that's a problem.
It's,
I think there's a 30% return on fission energy or something like that. I don't know the coal return, but fission energy basically, except for the vapor, isn't it pretty much just neutral in terms of?
I'm not entirely sure. I want to point out one other thing about Thomas Midgley is how he died, which was.
Tell me it was by lead poisoning.
I think it was no, it was even worse. He developed polio and
oh, wonderful.
was quite disabled from polio, which is again another disease we've mostly vaccinated out now, so we don't have to deal with.
Yes. For now.
Because he's an engineer, he developed this sort of system of like pulleys and things to get himself out of bed and around the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he was unfortunate enough. This is the luckiest man in the world, the luckiest engineer in the world, Thomas Midgley. He ended up getting strangled in it and died. It's like,
oh my goodness,
nothing he invented ended up going terribly well for him or the world.
Wow.
It's like, oh, poor fella.
But without
Yeah, so he
people like
basically got
that, we
tangled
wouldn't
in it
be.
and,
How do you get tangled in ropes? I'm like,
it was like I don't know how the device works, but I just know the story.
That's how he died. Yeah.
imagine just going to his house and being like, what the hell's going on?
But yeah.
That's scary to think that, like, imagine, so scary, like, there's know that your invention is just destroying lives, even though that's not the intention of it. And people, it's people, businesses have picked that up, governments have picked that up and ran with it, and they're not stopping for anyone.
I think what we do need to do is separate science from the use of science.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because a scientific discovery in and of itself is not ethical or unethical. It's how we apply our knowledge that makes sense.
And it's the communication of the science that changes things.
Yes.
Like our understanding of genetics has been misused in the past.
Yeah.
And that doesn't, that's because people are fond of eugenics in the 1930s. Doesn't mean that anything related to genetics is bad.
Yeah.
And I think that distinction does have to be made. It's
Yes, that's right. So only you anti-vaxxers can help polio be great again.
Oh my god.
I mean,
make polio great again.
Yeah. I mean,
Lordy.
Yeah.
it's just really just disturbing to know that there's some diseases